Definition of strength is choosing kindness. Imagine a world where the toughest battles are won not with force, but with a simple smile in the middle of a storm. What if the real definition of strength is choosing kindness when every instinct screams to be hard? Today we're diving deep into that paradox, and I promise you'll walk away with a new lens on power.
Antonio, that's a powerful hook. Let me tell you about the bee that defies physics. Scientists say its wings are too small for its body, yet it flies anyway. That tiny creature becomes a perfect metaphor for our conversation. The impossible becomes possible when we refuse to accept limits.
Exactly, Neve. And that story leads us to the first question. How does gentle resilience rewrite the narrative of personal growth? Listeners, stay tuned because the answer reshapes how we see pain and progress.
What most people don't realize is that every act of softness is a strategic move, not a surrender. When we listen with a broken heart, we're actually building an internal fortress of empathy. And that's just the beginning of what we'll explore today.
So let's jump into the main discussion. Neve, we'll unpack kindness as strength, break down the pain of growth, and give listeners concrete tools to stop repeating painful patterns. Ready? Nevea, why do you think many of us equate hardness with safety, even when it leads to isolation?
Because fear writes the first draft of our story, Antonio. When we're scared, the brain defaults to protection mode, which often looks like a wall. But when we choose gentleness, we rewrite that draft, turning fear into a catalyst for connection.
That's a great point, and it leads to a deeper question. How does kindness actually rewire our neural pathways?
Studies show that compassionate actions release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which quiets the amygdala's alarm system. In plain terms, each act of kindness tells our brain that the world isn't as threatening as we thought. That's why repeated gentle behavior builds resilience over time.
So the science backs what our hearts already feel. But here's what's really interesting. The pain of growth isn't just emotional, it's physiological. When we push through discomfort, we actually strengthen neural circuits, similar to how muscles respond to weight training.
Exactly. And that's where Jung's idea of a consciousness upgrade fits in. He argued that confronting our shadow, the parts we hide, is the only way to evolve psychologically. In modern terms, that's the painful work of breaking old patterns.
Navaya, many listeners say they feel stuck in a loop of self-sabotage. What's the first step to break that cycle?
First, name the pattern. Out loud. When you label the habit, you create a mental distance from it. From there, replace the automatic reaction with a deliberate, kind choice, even if it feels uncomfortable at first.
That reminds me of the snake shedding its skin. It's not becoming a bigger snake, it's simply making space for growth. How can we apply that metaphor to our daily lives?
We shed limiting beliefs the same way. When a belief no longer serves, we consciously discard it, making room for a more expansive truth. The danger is holding on to old skins, because eventually the old skin will constrict and bite back.
And that's why we must stop feeding fear with stories of failure. What practical habit can listeners adopt right now to starve that fear?
A daily micro commitment. Choose one tiny act of courage each day, like speaking up in a meeting or reaching out to a friend. When the brain sees success, even in small doses, it rewires the fear response.
But the real game changer is mindset. How does an unshakable mindset actually influence external reality?
When you believe you are unstoppable, you act with confidence, and confidence is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The world bends because people respond to the energy you emit. It's not magic. It's the physics of perception.
Speaking of physics, let's circle back to the bee. What does its defiance of aerodynamics teach us about confronting impossible narratives?
The bee doesn't calculate its odds. It simply flies. That's a lesson in action over analysis. Sometimes the best answer is to move forward despite the data saying otherwise. It's the embodiment of gentle rebellion.
So the secret sauce is a blend of knowledge and daring kindness. How can listeners balance the analytical side with the heartfelt side without feeling conflicted?
Treat them as partners, not opponents. Use data to inform your kind actions, and let compassion soften the cold numbers. When the two dance together, you create a strategy that feels both smart and soulful.
What about the moments when the world tells you you can't? How do we keep that gentle fire burning amid external doubt?
Remember the sign at NASA about the bee? Science said it couldn't fly, yet it did. Let that be your internal billboard. Whenever doubt whispers, replace it with the image of a bee buzzing against the odds.
That visual is powerful, Nevaeh. Let's talk about the final piece. Turning these insights into daily rituals. What 3 habits would you recommend to cement this gentle strength?
First, a gratitude pause each morning. Acknowledge the softness you bring to the world. Second, a nightly reflection. Write down one moment you chose kindness over hardness. Third, a weekly challenge. Do something that scares you but aligns with your values. Consistency turns